Well, good evening, everyone. I'm glad that you're here today. Good to see such a great crowd of friendly faces, and we're so glad that you're here today. You're showing by your very presence that you are very interested in our town, that you love our town, and that you're interested in the future of it, and that you want to be informed. So I congratulate you, I commend you for being here and being a part of this. If the temperature gets a little warm or is it already too warm? I'm seeing some folks. Okay, we can adjust that real quick and make sure that that is good for you. Okay. As we did last week, I think the one thing that unites us all together is our flag, and we need to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. Wouldn't you agree? Let's do that. That's the one thing that definitely unites us all together. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. Let's pray together, shall we? Our Father in heaven, we thank you for this time that we can be together like this. We thank you for a wonderful town to live in. The Rim Country is absolutely beautiful. What a gift that you have given to us. Lord, we pray that you will bless this evening, that it will be a time of great information, a time of peace, a time, there are times when we do disagree, Lord, but help us to disagree agreeably and in friendship. And Lord, we just pray for your holy presence in this place even now, and it is in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus, that I pray. Amen and amen. May God bless you. Have your seat. We're going to go ahead and get started by introducing the candidates one at a time. They drew numbers to see who gets to sit in which seat. So our first, let's welcome Tina Mcallister Smith. Okay. Our second candidate is Steve Otto. We welcome Steve Otto to the stand. Our third guest is Brett Flaherty. We'll let you take your seats there. And our fourth guest is Susie Tubbs Avakian. We want to welcome her. And our final guest is Jim Ferris. Let's welcome Jim to the platform. We have, you can go ahead and take your seats if you like. We have asked them to give each of them a 5-minute just sharing who they are with you so that you all can get to know each one of the candidates. And then we have many questions to get to, so we're going to limit the responses to 3 minutes. So, okay? So hopefully we'll get through all the questions, and we'll take a break here at about 7 o'clock and to give time for you to stretch a little bit, and then we'll finish up. And then in the end, we'll give each of them a 3-minute closing statements. Does that sound good to you? All right. Let's get started. Do y'all need water or anything? Yeah, somebody bring up some waters from the back. So you got them? Okay. All right. Once again, so glad that you're here. We're going to be asking the questions in order of their seating assignment, but each one will answer each question. So the first question is, Tina, tell us about yourself. Who you are, where you're from, what you love, what your hobbies are, whatever. Just let us get to know you.
Hi, is it on? Okay,
yeah.
There we go. Hi, I'm Tina Mcallister Smith, and I am a resident of Payson for going on 6 years now. I am originally from California. Control the craziness. I've actually been here, and I knew better over 22 years ago. So I moved to Arizona over 22 years ago, fell in love with Arizona, and then more recently fell in love with Payson. I am the wife of an Army veteran. I am the mom of two awesome bonus daughters who live in southern Arizona. I am also mom to a current Navy recruit who is at boot camp right now, and I'm missing him. I miss him more than I thought I would, honestly. And then our littlest, Tegan, is heading into middle school this fall, and she's super duper excited. For work, what I do is I am a publisher of Rim Country Living magazine. It is a community magazine that goes out to over 3,400 homes here in the Rim Country area. And if anybody does not receive it, please let me know. I will be happy to take your address and add it to the distribution list. It is free, thanks to our wonderful sponsors. And one of the things I actually love most about doing that magazine is that it embodies pretty much a lot of things that I really love. I grew up in California in a small family business. So I was surrounded with business 24/7. We worked in it, we lived it, and so I hold very near and dear to my heart business, economic development, etc. And with the Rim Country Living, I get to do that, but I also wanted to be a writer when I was a kid. And so I get to do that as well. So I get to do all the things that I really enjoy doing. That also led me to volunteer. I've been volunteering for many years in various capacities. Before I came up here, I actually was a volunteer at my son's school, and for 5 years did the yearbook. I had no idea that that was actually preparing me for the magazine that I actually make today, the deadlines and everything else. But that was a hoot, that was fun, and home and school board, etc. So when I came up here, being drawn to economic development and helping small businesses, etc., and just loving Payson in general, what I ended up doing was I started volunteering over at the visitor center, over at the Payson Chamber of Commerce Visitor Center. Every Friday I would be there talking to residents, talking to visitors, talking to people who are just driving by and using the bathroom. But it was a really awesome way to get to know Payson more, to get to know it better, because here I was making all these suggestions for people of places to go and things to do, and then I would get excited and I'd want to go and do some of these same things that I hadn't yet done. So eventually I became a Chamber of Commerce member, which then led to me also becoming an ambassador, and then also led to me being on the board. So this year is my third and final year on that board as the president. And it's been a really fun ride. We have a great board. We have some really wonderful people who dedicate a lot of their time and energy and efforts to our business community. It's really awesome. Some other boards that I am involved in are the Northern Gila County Fair, a board I said I'd never get on because it's a lot of work, but it's awesome. The fair is great, and if you haven't been, please go. It is September 8th, 9th, and 10th, and it's actually going to be really cool because we have the Army 108th Band playing on the opening ceremony and making a tribute to our veterans here in town. And they'll also be playing on Saturday as well. But basically, in and of itself, I try to move forward in life with a servant's heart. I believe it's important to give of yourself, time, talent, treasure, and to try and make a difference, especially for the next generation. And that's what kind of spurs me on. So I decided to dive right into town council after seeing some different things with Chamber of Commerce and being excited about different opportunities. And I just see all the wonderful things that Payson is and Payson can continue to be. So that's why I started to dive right in.
Good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. Steve, glad to have you. Tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Is this on?
You'll have to turn it on there, I'm sure. There you go.
Is this better? Yes. My name is Stephen Otto. I was born in Portland, Oregon. I was raised in Colorado. I went to high school at the Canyon City Abbey with Benedictine monks. And if you want an education, Deal with men in dresses that have an attitude, and they will convince you to lead the straight life because they put up with no foolishness. I spent 4 years at that all-boys school. Then I went to Colorado State University, where the discipline was a little lighter than it was at the Abbey. Got my bachelor degree there, earned my pilot's license while I was there. And then after the university, I went into the family business for 6 years. And after that, I had a series of stops in the produce industry. And then 31 years ago, I founded my own business, which I ran for 31 years till I retired. My main hobby is rescuing retired greyhounds off the racetracks. We started in 1998. We've rescued 13. We still go to greyhound rescue functions in Colorado and in Utah. And greyhounds are like kids. They like playing dress up. So the people in Kanab, Utah, just throw out the red carpet. They close down Main Street, and they let all the dressed up greyhounds, about 200 of them, walk down Main Street, just strutting their stuff. I'm an avid motorcyclist. I've been to Sturgis Motorcycle Rally 3 times, and the rest of it, I'm just enjoying my retirement here in Payson. My goal in running for town council is I want to get the goalposts set and have it not keep moving. I went to the town council meeting 2 meetings ago, listened to a lot of angry airport board members. They had put in their blood, sweat, and tears to come up with a proposal to change airport fees, and then by their comments, they didn't feel like town staff took their direction and just came up with rules of their own. And I listened to that and I thought, that doesn't seem very fair, changing the rules as you go. And then last council meeting, there was a fellow there that puts on the veterans benefit softball tournaments. Very passionate, very much wants to be in Payson, very much wants to do what's right for the veterans. And after an impassioned speech and laying out all his arguments, he basically left the room with no resolution to his problem. Then today, while I was down in Scottsdale, I get a text, and the Rim Wildfire Assessment Team was uninvited from the 4th of July festivities down at Green Valley Park. And the email said, "Oh, well, sorry, we forgot, but you have to pay town fees to have a table to set up the Rim Wildfire team. And oh, by the way, you also have to have liability insurance." And none of those things we can get accomplished, especially the insurance, we can't get accomplished by the time that the festivities take off. But then the bottom of the email was really nice. It said, "But you still can drive to Pine with your gas and your time and pick up the Pine Strawberry trailer and bring it down, and we'll let you hang out as long as you don't wear name tags." When I'm elected to council, I want to have one set of rules. I want the rules on Monday to be the same as the rules on Friday, and I want to get this town on an even keel. So my name's Stephen Otto. Please vote for me.
Okay. Thank you. Brett, take this time to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Make sure it's... Yes? Okay, there we go. My name is Brett Flaherty, Dr. Flaherty, local dentist in town. Born and raised in Arizona, grew up down in the Mesa Gilbert area. Come from a family of farmers, construction workers. My grandpa farmed a lot of Gilbert before it was all houses. He ran a church welfare farm for many years and grew up as a kid working on the farm. And we have a family motto, and I still live by that today, is work hard and play hard, and that's what we did as kids. And so that's what we're up here in Payson doing, is working hard and playing hard. We love Rim Country. Like I said, grew up down there, graduated from Mesa High School, went on to ASU, and then went to A.T. Still University, which, yes, they have a branch in Missouri, Kirksville, but they also have a dental school down there in Mesa, and that's where I attended dental school. My wife and I, we married back in 2002, so coming up on the big 20-year wedding anniversary this year. Raising 4 kids right now here in Payson. My oldest 2 are 15 and 14. They'll both be freshmen at the high school. And I have an 8-year-old who will be in 3rd grade, and then a little 4-year-old still in preschool. As a kid, grew up coming to Geronimo, Camp Geronimo as a Boy Scout. Earned my Eagle Scout as a kid. Went to the R-Bar Sea Scout Ranch many times, and just really love this area. Huge outdoorsman. That sounds better. It's coming through clear. So spent a lot of time as a kid up here in the mountains. We come from a family that loved to hunt, horseback. That's one of my biggest hobbies, is just seeing how high I can get my hay bill, and that's not too tough right now. My wife is always begging me to not take horses as payment, but because they end up costing more. But we have 7 horses at the house right now, and but the kids, we love riding them and spending a lot of time horsebacking out in the mountains. We hunt off of them, and we like to team rope and just enjoy the outdoors. So just, I guess, continue talking about myself here. We, when we were finishing up dental school, looking at where we wanted to be, there was a gentleman that told me, a dentist that I looked up to and a mentor of mine and a close friend, and he said, Brett, pick where you want to live and you can make your practice happen anywhere. And as we looked at opportunities, we fell in love with Payson, and we've made it happen. And I think, with anything in life, if you want to make it happen, you can. And I know that we can make things happen here in Payson. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm running for town council. We have a great love for this community. Anybody that knows me as a dentist, if you're a patient of mine, I'll do whatever I can to meet your needs, and I'm not perfect at it, but I'll try like heck to get it right and make you feel comfortable and take care of you. And I'd like to think that I can do the exact same here on the council level, is work like heck, and play hard and make this place great. Also, we've been blessed, very successful in this town, and just the opportunity to give back is a privilege. Every one of my patients that sits down in the chair, we usually have a conversation that, hey, it is a privilege to provide you with care, and just as much as it is a privilege to be a part of our practice. And so when I look at this town, I feel it is a privilege to be a part of this town, and I will find it a privilege to serve it as well. But that's me.
Thank you very much. Okay. Susie, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, everybody can hear me? Well, for those of you that do not know me, I am Susie Tubbs Avakian, and so on the ballot and on my signs and all of my campaign material, it states that my name is Susie Tubbs. And I did that because most people have a hard time saying Avakian, much less spelling it. And so that took me several years to learn that one as well. Anyway, I am running for re-election on town council. I am because my parents brought me here the year I was born to Rim Country. And I love Rim Country. I raised my 3 children here who are all grown. And so I know very few of you are going to believe this, but I actually have several grandchildren. And so being a part of the Payson community and staying connected to the community has been just a part of my soul. That's the way my parents raised me here. I have been on the board for Payson Community Kids, which is a local nonprofit, and I see many of our volunteers here that have helped us, current and past volunteers. And so I became on the board in 2004, and unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because our founder passed away suddenly in 2009. And I guess you could say, I drew the short straw at the time, and I became the president. And so I've been in that role since 2009. And we've had to overcome several obstacles. And so the reason why I decided to run for town council, it'll be 4 years in September. And the reason why it was in September was I ran as a write-in candidate for the general election, and I won. And so a lot of you have been here for that, but some of you were not. And I'm very big on children and assisting children and families and business owners. I'm a business owner, a small business owner. My husband is a small business owner. And I know several businesses that have come to town and have struggled and to try to get their doors open one way or the other. And then, unfortunately, we've lost several businesses at the start of them coming to town. And so because of issues and not the help along the way and the information needed at the time when they first began the process. And so that has been a continuing issue that we've been dealing with on the council. There's one thing that I do believe all 5 of us up here have in common, is that we all love Payson. And so I've been here the longest, and I have my family's rooted here. My passion is helping people. Yes, I have a paying job, a paying business, but 90% of the time, my passion has to come first, because children and the families of Payson need me, and when they need me now. And so I hope that you vote for me. I hope that I have continued and will continue. I will continue to be your voice on town council, and that is something I feel that's very important and is not always the case. And so thank you very much for coming. It's wonderful, because it's nice to see that we have a room full of people that care about what's going on, and they care enough to come at the dinner hour, as my husband says. Okay, so you've probably heard him grumble because he just got off work. And so, but thank you all for coming.
Thank you. Jim, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. Some of you may not believe it, but I'm a grandfather 4 times. I have 4 grandchildren. But yeah, and I love to serve, but I always want to say my first duty to serve is to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is the first person I serve. Then it's family, and then it's community, nation, and we need to have a certain underpinning of our values and if we're going to serve well. I ran 4 years ago. I'm running for re-election, and I really hesitated on that there. It's not always the most fun thing to do, but if some things are done, you feel you get some things accomplished that are important, it gives you a good feeling when things are happening that you feel are positive. I grew up in a little farming community up in northwest Illinois, and a town of 600 people. I think they maybe mentioned it on Hee Haw once, but anyway, my dad was a shop foreman, didn't get paid a lot. There was 5 of us kids in the family, and I did a lot of farm work. I'm sure some of you heard this before, but I know I baled a lot more hay and straw and walked more beans than any of the farm kids out there. I was just out a lot, and when we weren't doing that, we were playing baseball and basketball. But I wouldn't trade growing up in a small community like that for nothing. I enjoyed that. And then when I was younger too, I was part of a building partnership for about 3 years, and then I don't know if you remember in the later 70s when interest rates went up so high and it kind of shut down building. Well, then I went into lending. I ended up being an assistant vice president for several banks, and I really enjoyed that experience. I enjoyed that working with the customers face to face. And back then, if I had a customer that was looking to build a home, they came and they talked to me. We talked about what they had to fill out in the application process to satisfy the different banking laws and so forth. And if I had to go to the loan committee or director's loan committee for the amount of the loan and get it approved, I called the customer and let them know, if their loan was approved and under what conditions. And I closed the loan and I worked with the loan. So it was just, I really enjoyed that high touch experience of working with customers in the banking industry. And then I ended up going to work for the Union Pacific Railroad. It was first Chicago Northwestern up in Illinois, but then Union Pacific bought them out, and I hired out with them. I knew some other people who were making good money doing that, and within about a year from when I hired out, I was set up as a locomotive engineer, and that was quite a thing. I mean, and so I could run freight trains from the Chicago area out into Iowa and then back in. They had commuter service too, and CTA. And so it was just kind of interesting, but I really didn't like it at all. It was, you're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, no holidays, no pay. So I got out of that, came down to Arizona. My son had been living here, and I go, man, I just love this. So and so I went to work with. I went back. I had gotten my degree for physical education, and then I went to work with the First Tee of Phoenix, and working with the kids down there from, we had tiny tees up to high school age kids. Number of kids went on with full scholarships in the college, but just so many of the personal experiences that you had with the kids and the families. And maybe one kid went into drug rehab, and going in and visiting him and going through that, I mean, it just ripped your heart out. But there were so many just positive, wonderful experiences. I wouldn't trade that for nothing. But getting out of the valley, up here to the country was beautiful.
Okay, thank you so much. We're going to get into the questioning now, and I'm going to ask you folks to do something very hard. Okay, hold your applause. Okay, just listen to the responses, hold your applause. I know some things you're really excited about and you're going to want to start clapping, about but hold your applause, and also the grunts and the groans and things like that when you hear something you don't like, okay? Just listen and let's enjoy this time together. Is that okay? Is that okay if I say that? Okay. So very, very good. And then I'm going to ask the candidates to be sure that they watch the clock, the 3-minute clock, okay? We're allowing 3 minutes to answer these questions. Okay, we're going to begin with Tina. Tina, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member?
For starters, I have a servant's heart, and being on town council kind of takes that, because you need to not just be there and taking your own time, but you need to listen to people. You need to listen to our residents. You need to make yourself accessible, and I am absolutely accessible. Since I have started all my volunteerism here in Payson, I have always been available via email, phone, etc. And I do plan to continue that as a town council member, that anybody at any time can reach out, ask me questions, tell me comments, vent. I'm a big believer in venting, the power of venting and the power of prayer. And also, I do have a fairly diverse background. I have actually worked in government before as a state employee, so I do know how government works to a certain extent, some of the obstacles that you have to kind of deal with, and the kind of personalities as well. And I have a breadth of experience work-wise. Some of the work is obviously business owner related, everything from marketing, writing, etc. But I also do know legalities of deeds and so on. One of my favorite jobs that I used to do down in the valley was I was a real estate planner with the Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs. So I got to do a lot of really fun stuff working with our soldiers, with our Arizona Army Guard, and I got to do anything from like lease negotiations to looking for land, reading our deeds, looking at revisionary clauses, and so on and so forth. So I've dealt with people from all walks of life, from the top of the CEOs, directors of offices, etc. And I'm very comfortable with boots on the ground kind of thing as well. So I've got great organization skills. I'm a great out-of-the-box thinker. And I just really enjoy doing something where I feel like I'm helping. It's all part of that whole helper's heart. So that's how and why I think that I would be a great town council member.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, Steve, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member?
I'm waiting for your clock.
Oh,
Okay. I think my business experience and the fact that I'm retired makes me extremely qualified to be a town council member. I may spend a lot of time with my greyhounds, but I have the tenacity of a bulldog. I do not give up on things. When somebody tells me that the situation is X, I expect it to be X. If I dig deep and find out that that's not the case, then I have a real issue with that, and I'm determined to expose it. Some of the projects that I did in my business career were unique. I was not one that sat behind a desk doing business. I would drive between 50 and 60,000 miles a year. I did all my own installations. And over the course of my business career, I wrote about $100 million worth of business contracts. I'm used to spending my own money. I know how to handle money, and I would be excellent safeguarding the town's money. And I think the time, the abilities that I have, I don't have other things drawing me away from the job. I am focused, and I think that's why I would be an excellent town council member, and thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. All right, Brett. I know it's hard. I mean, I understand that. Brett, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member?
The opposite of retired. Busy as could be, but I got more to give. And as a businessman, right now we're navigating some tricky times, and I can't imagine it's any different as a town. And I've been able to surround myself with, the right people to be successful. And I know that as we come together and form the right council, we will be able to be successful. And I can be a part of that. I look at how I run my business today. There's a lot of things that I want now, but I wait for the right moment. I save my pennies. I purchase when I can afford it, and but I also understand investment, and so I think I can bring all of those traits to the council and help us use our resources wisely and invest in our future so that we continue to grow, progress, succeed. I have a heart of dedicated to serving others, and just looking at how Payson has blessed our life as a family, as a practice. I want to continue to, show that appreciation and thanks for our town, for our community. I feel like I have the ability to bring people together and diffuse difficult situations. And I feel like there's a lot of that has gone on in the past, and I want to help bring us together as a community. I've said this in our previous forums, but I really think that is one of the things that we are lacking is our ability to work together. And I can promise you, I will bring a togetherness to this council. And like you said, despite how busy I am with work, with family, they are the future of Payson, as businesses and families. And so if I wait till I'm retired and maybe have the time to do it, it will be too late. And so that's why I'm here today, to be your councilman and make things happen now.
Okay, thank you. All right. I know it's hard. Okay, Susie. Susie, how do you feel, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member? Of course, you already are, but I mean, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member?
Well, one thing I think it's very important is to obviously love our community. And I'm a business owner. I'm a successful business owner. My husband's a successful business owner. And why I think that I, as far as myself, getting back to the community and being their voice when constituents send emails, phone calls, complete surveys, petitions, you all should be heard. You all should be thought about. Those issues should be looked into a little bit deeper, a little bit harder. And just like it is something, and maybe Jim may agree with me on this or maybe not, that we are continually learning on town council. And I think you have to, one, have an open mind, because There are times when I get my packet and I'm going through it and I'm thinking, oh, no, this is not a good idea. Then you do the research and you find out there's a couple other sides to the story, and that we can actually say to the staff that, I'm just not comfortable voting on this right now. I would like to get more information. This is something that it takes time to learn. And I think that there's some preconceived ideas and thoughts that whenever you're voted on to town council, you're going to save the day. I'm just one voice. That's all I am. One voice for you. That is what I pledged to 4 years ago, and that's what I pledge to continually, is to listen to you. And I may or may not agree with you, but I'm going to listen to you. That's my job. That's why you put me in office, is to be your representation. Not my own wishes and wants, to be your representation. And that's all I have, and I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Ferris.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Jim, tell us, why do you feel that you are qualified to be a council member?
I think Susie expressed a little bit of it where, I do feel this last 4 years, there was a lot of learning that took place. I'm someone, when I ran the first time, I said I'd do my due diligence. I would look at things. I would research things, try to find out what's underneath the surface. And, I believe I've done that. I put a lot of work in. I got a little L-shaped desk at home, but underneath is these rolling files that I've filled up with a lot of different information over the last 3.5 years. And there's a lot to it. It's unbelievable. There's times when people will come up and they'll ask me something about, and I don't even know, it's hard to know where to begin. But but there's a lot of work. You got to do the research. We can't rely on someone else. I can't go and have, the town manager or town attorney or town, whatever. So, this is what we're doing. We think this here is going to be best. Oh, okay. And then just go vote on it. You got to know what's behind it. And I want to have the trust that I'm getting all the information that I need to make that decision. And sometimes I don't feel it's been there, and I'm going to push for it. I want to ask for it. We need to know this here, and we're not going to be bobbleheads to any, particular interests or things. I need to be a bobblehead to what you want, what you desire in this community. Sometimes people will think, well, the community needs this or and it may change the whole culture, the whole nature of this community. And I might say, well, yeah, that may be good, but is that what the citizens want? Is that what what they want for the culture and nature of their community? And I'm going to continue to dig in, ask questions, push for things. I want things done. I want things done in a principled fashion. If we can't do it with transparency and principles and values, and it's not worth being done. We need to make sure that what is happening, what's being planned, is planned, for the benefit of all the citizens. So I just want to. And I'd encourage all of you to get involved, try to understand what's going on, what's behind some of the things. And I just think that a lot of times we just acquiesce to whatever's going on and not really dig into it and find out for ourselves. So that's why I'd like to be elected again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, this next question will begin with Steve. Steve? Several people have submitted questions similar to this. how can we improve the housing crisis? I'm assuming it's talking about, lower income housing and so on, affordable housing, and how will you implement your idea? How can we improve the affordable housing crisis, and how will you implement that idea?
Well, the housing in Payson is challenged at best for middle-income people. My wife and I bought here in 2011 when, according to Zillow, there was 1,000 homes for sale. The housing pendulum does swing, but I was looking at the interest situation and the availability situation last week, and I realized that if I was going to a banker to get financing to buy the home that I live in, I wouldn't qualify. We've got a perfect storm brewing. We've got the S&P 500 is down, I didn't look today, but it's down somewhere between 17 and 18% from the first of the year. And mortgage rates have all but doubled. And those two things have not happened in conjunction except 5 times since 1935. So we have to be really focused on looking beyond a knee-jerk reaction saying, oh, we got to build houses or we got to do this or do that. We have to be focused. We have to recognize that there's things that need to be done because we don't have enough housing for our workforce members, but we need to resist a knee-jerk reaction to doing something that would be to our detriment down the future. Since I've been here, I've seen housing developments proposed at council. I think one was right across the road here. I saw another one that was proposed there between Home Depot and Ponderosa, I believe. And for whatever reason, that's still bare ground. I don't know. I'm not privy to what has happened with the developers and what's happening with the town, but it looks like it's just a function of something's gotten in the way that needs to be investigated, and we need to find out why those properties haven't been developed and why the one, I believe, has already been approved, and yet there it sits bare ground. So those are the things we need to focus on before we try to come up with some shiny new plan to build houses when we haven't built the houses that were already approved. So that's where I sit.
Okay, thank you. Brett, how can we improve the affordable housing crisis, and how will you implement your idea?
I don't build houses. I build teeth, fix teeth, but what I can do as a council member is vote in favor of zoning that's going to benefit the housing market, and also codes, town codes, things of that nature that'll get in the way. A friend had approached me about going in on a land deal. And we thought, hey, these 5 acres, we could pick it up, we could develop it, put several houses on it instead of one. And when we started looking into it, the road improvements that we would have to make on behalf of the town was ridiculous. And so we walked away from it, and there sits a piece of property that I don't know who's going to shell out the money to develop it and utilize it for the benefit of our community. So, I see things like that, and what I can promise is that I will vote in favor of, zoning changes, town codes, and things that are going to entice people to develop and build. And, if we can, split 5 acres into, 10 or 10 homes, then it's a lot more valuable to our town and makes more housing available, and support those efforts and do things to entice people to want to continue to live here, buy here, build here, and develop here. So I support those things, and I want to help support the infrastructure that's required for it, from anything from the roads to the things that we have to offer for our families and the workforce that we're talking about. We want them to come here and live here. Well, we need to figure out a way to provide them with the necessary, or the facilities and things to encourage them to want to be here and stay here. Other options, I know right now there's some debates of temporary maybe RV living and things like that on properties as people are getting permits and things. And I'd have to look at all of that and see how that could play into maybe helping with an immediate crisis that we're in. Obviously not a long-term solution. We don't want RVs camped out on every piece of property, but there are some short-term things that we could look at, but I think ultimately our long-term goal is to push forward with encouraging development and zoning that would benefit the housing market.
Okay, thank you. All right, Susie, how can we improve the affordable housing crisis, and how will you implement your idea?
Well, I can tell you, as being a very long time resident here in Rim Country, rental costs have always been very, very expensive. And the interest rates, in talking about what Mr. Otto said previously, interest rates have reached a time of 6.25%. There are individuals that were approved for a home for $250,000 2 months ago that now cannot afford to purchase the home because of the interest rate increase. So we are dealing with several things here in Rim Country. We are dealing with an issue that we are landlocked, okay? And we are dealing with that it's unfortunate, but it's supply and demand. And it's not, it's not something that I think that is beneficial, and you cannot demand that a landlord, lower their rental prices. We just cannot do that. Airbnbs have also caused a huge increase and shortage because individuals can get more for their investment on a daily rate than they do a monthly rate. And that's a whole nother topic in a whole nother nutshell right there. It's bad to even, but we're dealing with that. A few months ago, we attended a work session, the council did, about that the governor's office actually has been putting together ways that developers can receive grants for assistance for affordable housing. One of the things I'll tell you, we also, I don't know how many of you have been, if you've been to the hardware store lately, please raise your hand and let me know if you realize the rising cost of our building materials. Okay, so I can tell you right now, lumber packages 2 years ago that were $45,000 are now coming in at $95,000 for a 1,500 square foot house. There's that issue. I don't know that we're going to make a big dent in that. The other issue is I think that we need to look as a town. If we're looking at doing this, we have a policy, a code where builders that are building, if it's less than a half an acre, they have to provide curb and gutter, okay, and sidewalks. And that's even streets that have no sidewalks and no curbs. So this adds to the cost of their bottom line. We do need to come up with something, and I think it needs to be a building advisory committee to start there. Years ago, we used to have a housing committee, and I've asked for that to be re-implemented. I asked for that 2 years ago, and that's still something that needs to be done.
Okay, thank you. Jim, Tell us, how can we improve the housing crisis and how will you implement your idea?
Yeah, well, one thing I won't do is blame all the increased prices on Putin. I'm not going to do that. But, you know, the interest rates, when they go up, when they double, that, you know, creates a much larger principal and interest payment. And you know, we need to look at, we talked about in the town council, maybe finding some ground that we could put an RV park, a newer RV, and take out some space so that people come into town and maybe they're going to have a 3-month contract with the hospital or someone. They have a place where they can at least park an RV and be able to live here and do that. And that would free up the other homes for long-term rentals or purchase. But yeah, there's just when you look at too, I have a feeling that with the B&Bs and verbals and that, I think that market's going to dry up. I think they've driven up prices here, but I think that it's going to be saturated soon, and they're going to be sitting with these homes. If the economy tanks, they're not going to have people coming up and spending the money that they expect to get, and when these homes are sitting empty, I think they'll be on the market and will reduce that. That's just my little theory, but yeah, and about affordable housing too, and grants. When you get out and you're getting a federal grant, all kinds of restrictions and things can come on it. One thing I don't want to do is say, well, we can get a grant, we can have this affordable housing complex come in, but 60% of the tenants are going to have to be these people, you know, and not necessarily that, but they, and I'm just going, no, I don't want those kind of restrictions on our housing here in Payson. But it's the workforce housing that we need. And, you know, the government has very little full leverage that we can apply. We can try to encourage, but, you know, we can't create a market where people building workforce housing are going to get a much better return than a more expensive home. And the other thing I'd like to do is to some of the property that we have taken in the past from the Forest Service that's zoned a particular way, we need to look out and reach out and, you know, proactively maybe rezone some property so that it's more attractive for some developers to come in and maybe put homes on, you know, that half acre or 1 acre. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Tina, tell us, how can we improve the housing crisis, affordable housing crisis, and how will you implement your idea?
It is absolutely a crisis. I don't even like the term affordable anymore. What is affordable? You know, what's affordable for your average worker bee out there today? It's scary. It's scary for a lot of us, whatever you know, kind of season of life we are in. Most of us probably couldn't afford the homes that we are in. There's several different paths to take. Some are fast, some not so fast. One thing we absolutely need to do is we need to tackle zoning. We have a lot of R1 zoning here in Payson. And this means that then lots that have the actual size that they could put a duplex or a triplex on, you can't do it. Not unless you want to jump through some hoops and try and get things rezoned. So we need to be a little bit more proactive. When I talk about zoning for, you know, high density, I'm not talking about sky rises. I'm guessing that there's not a single person in Payson that I could find, or it would be hard to find somebody who wanted an actual sky rise here. We don't want to change Payson, but we do want to find homes and build homes for our loved ones. So we need to change zoning so that we can think outside of the box with that. We also do need to create incentives for developers who come here. They do not have incentives. They have roadblocks, unfortunately, at the moment. And they do, as Brett had mentioned, just all of a sudden the infrastructure that the developers are then having to add in, by the time they do all the infrastructure work and then build the homes are now no longer affordable. Everybody has been priced right out. So you have to incentivize things for the developers. And then lastly, some temporary code changes would be good temporary little stopgaps until we get some of these longer term permanent solutions in place. So if we did allow for RV living at people's homes, and you can absolutely restrict it to a certain extent by requiring permits with the town where you permit and you pay for it on an annual basis. Maybe you contact Green Valley Water and you're paying an extra fee to them. There are legitimate ways in order to make sure that it doesn't make things look bad. Nobody's living in a tin can, but that people can have a place to land and a place to stay, that where they are safe, they are warm, they can take care of themselves, and they're not being completely priced out of town and having to leave.
Okay, thank you very much. Aren't they doing a good job? Yep, they're doing a good job. Okay, this question will begin with Brett. Brett, would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and the town council? Would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor? I'm assuming that that means the mayor is the boss and tells the town manager what to do. I'm not going to read into the question. This is the question. Okay? Would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and the town council?
Sounds like a 107 question to me. I think we've all heard this topic over and over. I don't see any flaw with the current setup. Last week we heard the mayor say our manager was doing a good job, and I trust his word. And then we heard people opposing 107 say, hey, it's fine, we just need to make sure we're doing the right oversight or overseeing of the manager. And so I think if we continue to operate the way we are, with the proper structure, the way it's written is 107, the manager, he's the quarterback. He's doing what the council, the mayor, are telling him to do. I'm seeing some heads shaking. I've asked some people, hey, give me some good hard examples of where we're failing. I haven't seen any. Sure, he needs proper support and proper direction, and I think that's our job as a council. But I think the important thing is again, that we're communicating well as a council with our manager, with the people that are over the different boards, and working together and not against each other. Once again, I think that's one of the biggest issues, is that we get so hung up on somebody's difference in opinion or ideas that we forget that, hey, we need to take all of that into consideration, come together, compromise, and figure out how we can pick a direction in which goes forward, instead of wasting time and resources and effort trying to restructure something that's pretty well established across the state. Anyways, I definitely a sense of negativity towards maybe my comments on that, but I think it's time to look forward and not in the past.
Okay, thank you. Susie, would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and the town council?
Well, just to kind of clarify something is currently the only two people that technically answer to the town council and the mayor as a body is the town attorney and the town manager. Do I feel, and maybe I'm reading in between the lines there, that maybe this question, and if I'm not getting it right, I apologize, but that the town manager should work hand in hand with the mayor. I think maybe, is that the question? And so I have some concerns with some things that I've seen on council over the past few years, and hearing from constituents, staff, vendors, these type of things. I will tell you that as a current council member, the feel sometimes is that I work for the town manager, when I'm sorry, I work for every single one of you, okay? Every single one of you. And that town manager is supposed to work for the entire council as a body. I feel there needs to be maybe some adjustment, maybe not a full-on having a mayor being in charge of the town of Payson full-on as they do in some cities like, you know, the city of Phoenix, city of Gilbert. Those are cities, we are a town. So I do feel there needs to be some sort of restructuring, whether it be a compromise or a policy that things are handled. Boards and commissions, you taxpayers are all answered, that he answers to you all as well. So that is my thought on it. I think it's important that someone that's in that position be respected, but also reciprocates that with the rest of you as well. So that's a little bit of my concern going forward, is that I'm hearing, I want to hear praises, I want to hear good things when it comes to the people that we pay.
Okay, thank you. Jim, tell us.
Yes.
Would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and the town council?
Yeah, I mean, what we have is a strong town manager government, and that's what's going to function well for a community like Payson, where you have a mayor elected every 2 years. He's not going to be generally someone that has the background knowledge stuff to step in and manage or administer a town. And that's going to change every 2 years, so that doesn't make sense. But our ordinance 107 seems to, the only person that seems to be answering or reporting to the town council is the town manager. There's a lot of strong town manager form of governments out there where also the town attorney is responsible to report to the council, and maybe the police chief or the fire chief or some. But you know, from my point of reference, when I hear people out in the community and they're really unhappy about the way some things are being handled and how things are, and we up here on the council, we're supposed to make decisions, but yet we can't get the information of what's going on behind the scenes. We have to have a little information. I asked a few years ago, we had fire department personnel to do a survey, and boy, it was, to me, it was terrible. It was not a good, and I'm just going, you know, ask about it, you know, recently, and you know, oh yeah, well, that's all addressed. Well, let's do another survey. Well, we don't like that kind of, so we're not going to do that survey again. What I want to know, I want to know what our workforce, town workforce, what they're experiencing and what they're dealing with to some extent. I mean, if we only have one person that administers all the town, and they're the ones, that's the only avenue of information that we get, I don't think that's right. We need to have a little more information of what's going on. I just think that, you know, we need to have trust too in the information that we receive on the council, that information is complete, accurate, and is information that gives us enough knowledge about the subject to be able to vote on it intelligently. And I just think that trust that we need to develop could be better. I'll just say that.
Okay, thank you. Tina, would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and the town council?
Well, according to that question, it wouldn't need any restructuring whatsoever because that's exactly what we have with a town manager-led town. The town manager does already, he has to defer to the mayor and the council. The council is what directs him. So the town manager is our day-to-day guy. He is handling all the affairs of all the different departments. He is making sure that work gets done on a day-to-day basis and that, you know, things are being taken care of, moving in the right direction. He compiles that information, then he brings it to town council when certain decisions need to be made. And that's when the town council can either give him further direction, they can continue asking him questions, they can decide to vote on something. So I don't think there does not need to be any restructuring. If there's some sort of miscommunication going on or lack of communication, maybe that's a different situation. But that is exactly what we have right now with a town manager and led town. He does actually serve at the pleasure of the mayor and the council.
Okay, thank you. Steve, would you consider restructuring the town offices so that the town manager answers to the mayor and town council?
Yes, I would restructure, but not in a catastrophic way. According to the Arizona League of Cities and Towns, we have a strong town manager and we have a weak mayor system. And one of the biggest flaws I see in that system is if I'm elected a council member, I do not have the right to go talk to any department head because all communications have to go through town manager, from council, go through town manager, and then go to the department head. They respond, tell the town manager, and then a town manager would tell me as a council member. I see that as flawed. I don't want a king or a czar on either end of the spectrum. I don't want one mayor in control, and I don't want one town manager in control. I've seen systems that I like where it's still weak mayor, strong town manager, but there's multiple lines of communication between council and the department heads. That eliminates the opportunity to keep secrets. Quite some time ago, I was doing some water research. I had made contact with the SRP ombudsman about what was going up here in Payson. And when I talked to my town council member about asking what the meeting was about, he didn't know the meeting had happened. And SRP would not tell me as a private citizen. They would just confirm that the meeting was held with the Payson town manager, SRP member, and a member from the SLE, the Rim Country Educational Alliance. In a recent turn of events, 2 council meetings ago, The airport commission said that they had prepared a presentation for council, and I don't believe the council ever got that information. All they got was the filtered information through town staff. And town boards are nominated and voted on by council. The town boards, whether it be Parks and Rec, be airport, whomever it is, they are supposed to be the straight lines of communication between the people and the council. And when the town manager has the ability to stop communication, that's a serious problem. So I would allow the strong town manager, weak mayor, to continue, but I would really modify the lines of communication and make sure that the people get the information and the council gets the information. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. This next question will begin with Susie. When is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible shape? Okay, and then this person submitted this. A recent town study cited that 40% of the town streets are in disrepair and that 15% need to be completely reconstructed at a total estimated cost of $63.5 million. The town annual general fund operating budget is only $24 million. With the exception of Main Street and Longhorn and State Route 260, basically all of the arterial streets are laced with tar, potholes, and rough surfaces. The fiscal year 2023 town budget for the street repair is $500,000, while only $400,000 was spent in fiscal year 2022. The town study recommends a budget of $4 million annually. The poor condition of streets is a reason why some people would not want to move to Payson. What is your position and plan of action on this issue? I know that's long, so once again, we'll go back to the simplified question. When is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible condition?
Well, I blame the garbage trucks. Okay? Just, well, when I would like to know the same thing. We did do some, we did put a good amount, I believe it was $4 million in the 23 budget. If I had it my way, every street in Payson would be absolutely perfect. You know, I don't know how many of you have been following the news lately about how much of you love to go to the gas pump right now? Anybody just dying to go? See what tomorrow's gas prices are going to be? So maybe you do or do not know, we are supposed to receive 18 cents per gallon back from the government. That money is supposed to be used toward the roads. Well, did you hear the little rumor about the 18 cents? Where do you think that 18 cents they're going to decrease off of our gas pump, off of our per gallon cost is going to go? It ain't going to come to Arizona, folks. So look around, look at your people, look at your neighbors here right now. You all came to see who you are going to vote for. This is where we see you. After this, folks, we see a handful of you at town council. We need you there. We need you there. We need to see your faces. We need to hear your emails, and especially at budget time. Just like those boards and commissions. Those boards and commissions should be a great big part of our budget process and should be there in representation. And so I would like to see it. We have so many. I mean, we're even talking about, look at 87. 87, we've had every time we have a big snowstorm, how many of you drive around those roundabouts and you feel like your car's going to fall apart? We have the same problem on every single one of our streets in Payson proper, and it is embarrassing. But if we don't hear from you, and you all sit quiet, and you don't come to these meetings, and you don't pound your fist and get on to the people you voted for and say, this is what we want out of the budget. We don't want unnecessary hiring at $100,000 for a procurement officer to buy paper and toilet paper for our community, for our town businesses, or our town offices. So get in here. You need to tell your neighbors, your friends and neighbors, to get to town council and speak. Use your voice. Email your councilman. Call them. And get them at the grocery store just like you do me every single time I go.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Hey, Susie, I don't want, no, I don't want this avalanche, no.
When is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible shape?
Yeah, the town was incorporated in 1973, I believe. And back then, a lot of development had taken place that had no standards, no nothing to it. And
Turn your mic back on. Turn your mic back on. Yeah.
there
you
we
go.
go. You know, we have to go back. We have to go back from decades of things that have been done to bring them up to standard. You know, it's a lot easier when you have a nice new road is going down, and then at the end of it, there's going to be a new development, and have that developer and the town work to put in that new infrastructure just to cover that ingress and egress from that new development. That works out really fine. But we have had things that had been stubbed off, and that, you know, there's development that could go on maybe up by the airport, but you know, the infrastructure had been taken up there and just abandoned back so far. Now someone wants to develop something, create a new business. Well, we need to have this done, and the road here should be over here, and this, you know, and they're going to have to pay all these expenses. They can't cover it, you know. So that seems to be just left lay there. But you know, my main concern is, you know, to try to get as much money on preserving the streets that are, you know, subject to, you know, deteriorating to where we have to mill them all up and redo it all over again. And maybe the town needs to purchase its own paver, find a paver and do some work that way. If it would be cheaper, we could get more surface covered over the years. But and another thing, not just the streets, but I know there's areas of town, North McLean, one of them, where you just have a ditch on each side. You don't have a sidewalk. You don't have anything. You don't have any drainage. Maybe to put some drainage in, do something so that pedestrians and bicyclists can, you know, use our streets with a much higher degree of safety. There's just a lot of things that need to be done, and we're going to have to prioritize the best we can with the resources that we have. So you know, we need to make sure we use our HERF funds from the gasoline tax, you know, that is given back to us from the state, the best we can. And I don't know when, but you know, we just need to work the best we can.
Okay, thank you. Tina, when is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible shape?
It's the unanswerable question. I don't think anybody can actually say it's going to be done by XYZ. Don't we wish? We all know the roads are pitiful here, and they're a disaster. We need to tackle them. We do not get enough from the highway user revenue funds, the HERF funds, at all. But we do need to start making a priority, and we need to start looking at our town and planning ahead for the future so that it makes sense. Part of our problem is that we unfortunately failed to plan. And then we have the weather that doesn't help anything, and then we do little spot fixing here and there that doesn't help anything either once you have a freeze or two. So no, I do not know when it will actually happen, but does it need to happen? Absolutely. Do we need to prioritize our roads? Yes. They need to be, redone. We need visible lines. There's places where you don't even know where the lines, are. So it's definitely a priority, and we need to start looking deeper into what we can do to make that happen.
Okay, thank you. Steve, when is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible shape?
Thanks for that one. Actually, the condition of the roads is a problem that we can see, but there's a bigger problem underneath the roads, and there's no reason to fix any of the roads until we fix the water and other infrastructure that are under the roads. Because I have seen in Colorado where they pave a brand new road and the city crews go right behind it, digging it up to put in new water mains. And I asked one crew one time, why are they doing it like that? And I said, well, asphalt's easier to dig up when it's hot. So we need to get things prioritized. We need to go after our basic infrastructure. There's no reason to fix a road if the water main underneath is going to break. I mean, last summer or summer before, I don't know, COVID's got my mind blanked, but we had a Vesuvius water break in the middle of McLean, and they lost countless gallons of water that we really couldn't afford at that time. And Tanner Henry told me that that's going to happen more and more and more around town because they have leaks that they know about that they really don't have scheduled to repair. So I would start on a road, pick one, lay down the infrastructure, and then fix the asphalt on top of it so that we can move forward. Your letter mentioned how much the town budget was for fixing the roads. The numbers I saw is Payson received 10 times that amount of money in her funds. And gee, where'd the money go? Why didn't it go for roads? I mean, what did they spend it on? Those are questions I would ask as a council member. I want to know why, when you get $4 million in highway user funds, why you only budget $400,000. That needs to be addressed. That's the biggest issue. And so, as a council member, I'm going to dig down to where the water mains are. I'm going to dig down and find out why we're not doing what needs to be done and why we're not supporting the entire infrastructure package in this town. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brett, when is the city going to repair some of our roads that are in terrible shape?
As soon as you elect me. Elect me. And so I live in a neighborhood where we pay for and maintain about a half mile of road. So guess what? Asphalt is expensive, and it takes a lot of maintenance. Yep. It's any of my neighbors know we got road issues. I'll be out there on my skid steer, backhoe, whatever, doing whatever I can. So I'd gladly help pitch in with the town and do anything I can to improve our roads. Obviously it's a money issue. I was talking to one of the gentlemen, I won't drop names, but he's been with the town road department forever. And it always comes down to money and budget. There's sometimes hey, the police department needed a big revamp, and so money, goes from one place to the other. So I think the big issue is, what are we going to do to generate more revenue here in town? Because I don't know by the show of hands, who wants to pay more taxes? No. Who would like for somebody else to come here and contribute more to our roads? All right, so let's get a bigger, broader vision. We can talk roads, we can talk, management, we can talk, all of these other issues, but let's figure out what are we going to do to create a vision that is going to attract people to want to stop here, spend their money, stay here, and generate the resources so that we can prosper, flourish as a town instead of have to shell out all that money on our own. So I think we need to look at, I'm excited in this term. We'll be looking at the town plan, and hopefully we can come up with a good vision and plan that will bring people to Payson to spend their money here in Payson. And and not just drive through on their way, up to the top of the rim, or keep on going to Strawberry and so on. And so I think that's the bigger issue. I mean, we all want better roads. I'd love for the town to take over my road, but I get it. It's a huge burden, and like I said, firsthand, I know it's expensive because I pay for it there and I pay for it in taxes, and but what I do want to do is broaden our vision, not get so tunneled in on this specific thing, but look at the town as a whole and how can we make it succeed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I've heard several of you up here say that you want to hear from the community. Okay, so on 3, I want you to tell them what street you want them to start first. All right, 1, 2, 3.
North Mud Springs.
All right. Okay. All right. This next question, this next question, I think probably ought to start with Susie. But Jim, you're the next one that's next. So to go first, why would we consider giving a monopoly to one garbage removal company and removing competition of rates?
Why would we want to
Why
do
would
that?
we consider giving a monopoly to one garbage removal company?
There's no reason to consider that. I mean, it's let competition be there, and I want to choose who my garbage pickup service is from, Roadrunner. But I didn't mean to mention it. But yeah, I don't understand. I don't think it's going to make a hill beans difference, really in the roads in the long run. But I don't think that we can pick and choose. And what would happen? My gut feeling is that Waste Management would underbid everybody, and in the next few years we'd be paying premium prices for our garbage service. And I'm all for private enterprise, the capitalist system, and let competition rule. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Tina, why would we consider giving a monopoly to one garbage removal company?
My understanding was it was something that they were looking at that was brought forward by Arizona League of Cities and Towns because of impact on roads. Funny enough that we had just been talking about how horrible our roads are. That being said, I believe they were looking at various options, and I personally, and I know that it was very loud online, loud in person at that town council meeting. The people spoke and they wanted to have choice, and that's important. And I think this is one of those situations where when you say something and you're putting your opinion out there to your town council members, or when you're attending town hall meetings, you're getting your voice heard. And so I would be really surprised if it actually went to any kind of monopoly situation. I don't know that anybody on town council would vote for something like that. Now, me also as a business person and Chamber of Commerce board president, I'm all about the capitalism. I'm all about, small business as much as we can handle. Like, let's start even more businesses. So by all means, let's, keep on supporting our small businesses, including our garbage companies, and move forward.
Okay. Steve, why would we consider giving a monopoly to one garbage removal company?
It makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, competition is the bedrock of this country. Before we came to Payson, we were Waste Management customers at our home, at our business, and we became Waste Management customer by accident in Payson when they bought Waste Matters. We've been abused by them 3 times. We had a yearly contract with Waste Matters. As soon as Waste Management took over, they just drew a line through our last 2 months that we had prepaid and said, we're not going to honor those. And by the way, we're having a rate increase. So a single trash concern mandated by the town will not happen on my watch. It's that simple. I mean, there needs to be competition. If Susie decides to give up the trash business and it's their decision, then so be it. But for the council to pick winners and losers is unconscionable, and I won't go for it. So that's all I've got to say about that.
All right. Brett, why would we consider giving a monopoly to a garbage removal company?
Well, the first thing we're going to do on town council is vote for one dentist in town to provide all the services. Absolutely not. I couldn't please everybody. So, no. I'll tell you what, back to the roads. I'll be honest, I know it was something that was supposed to come up as a discussion, as something they learned, and like I said, I'm pro, capitalism and that free market, and that's how this country is, built and stands. But I'll be honest, when I heard about all that, it's had me scratching my head saying, man, I pay for my own dang road, and we do have every trash service driving down our roads 3 times a week, and I'd be curious the validity of the harm and damage it puts on. And I'll be honest, I went and looked over at my neighbors and it's like, man, I'm probably going to switch trash companies. Maybe I can talk a couple of my other neighbors into doing the same so we have one. But hey, that's a personal thing, and that's not going to be, something that is pushed on a town level. But we could look at that in many different ways. Hey, we get a town. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Hey, there's pavers in town. But now the town's doing all their paving. Now the town's doing all their trash pickup. Now the town's doing, you can go back and forth on these issues, but ultimately, no. Do I think the town should have a say in that? We should have a free market, capitalism, but look for ways to go back to making the money that this town needs to provide the services to maintain our roads, so we don't even have to have this discussion. Take this discussion off the table, and let's focus on our big vision, our big plan to do something better.
Okay, thank you. Susie?
Well, to make things real clear, and I think that, and to clarify something, actually this was not brought up by the League of Cities and Towns. This was actually brought up by 2 council members and put on the agenda. Okay? And to make it very clear, I am not an owner of that company. I'm married to the owner. So unfortunately, the poor guy's getting attacked when he shouldn't be. And, yeah, Brett, one dentist in town, one source of media in town, well, what am I going to say? One retiree, one realtor in town, and it'll be one broker, because then we can't have all those realtors' cars driving up and down the streets hauling you people around. Okay? And then, okay, so wait a minute, and I will clarify something, because I'm the only one that sits on that council that has been with a garbage man, a 3-generation garbage man for 20 years. I'm the only one that knows exactly how much a garbage truck weighs, and it is not 1,200 cars, y'all. Okay, let's clarify that. All right, sorry. Can you tell when I get passionate about something? Because it doesn't feel very good to be attacked, and that's what that felt like. That's what it feels like. And there was almost 200 people at that meeting. How many of you were at that meeting? Okay? Exactly. How many of you felt your voice was being heard because many of you got up and spoke? Exactly. And so that is what I stand up for. You have a voice, you have a right. I don't care if it's garbage trucks, I don't care if it is car lots, I don't care if it's the cement trucks. All right? That business pays taxes, pays a lot of money into that HERF funds. And right now, it's a lot of money. Those businesses are giving back to our community, giving free garbage to the town of Payson, okay, when they call and ask for it. All right, so there's a lot of things that, yes, should be looked at, but I'm pretty sure we have other issues to deal with, and quit wasteful spending our money so we can fix our roads.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, very good. All right, we have about, I'm going to combine questions together here to save time. Okay, we have about 10 minutes left, and we started a little late, so we can kind of go past a little bit, but let's see if we can wrap this up. And I think for, well, let me just go ahead. Okay, Tina, this question is back to you as the first one. What other revenue ideas do you have for Payson, and how would that be implemented? What other revenue ideas do you have for Payson, and how would that be implemented?
I love, like I said, I love capitalism. I'm all about business and making money. And so that's definitely something that the town needs to look at. It's been mentioned up here this week and last week. Nobody likes to pay taxes, obviously. We have to pay some, but we don't want to keep on having them go up and up and up. So revenue generation, super important. One of the main things I want to have done, and it's been discussed year after year, and yet nothing has been done. We need to cover the event center. We need to cover it. We need utilities there and actual bathrooms. We need a facility that people would love to drive up to. We could have that thing booked 24/7. People would love to drive up here to concerts and to other, conferences, etc. So that Payson Event Center, it's just there waiting for us to put that money into it. Right next to the event center, I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of times when we have events going on, from the rodeo to the fair, so on, we've got a lot of people dry camping over there. If we put a little bit of money into the infrastructure and actually created RV slots that had hookups, that's a no-brainer. We would have that sold out constantly, and it would pay for itself so quickly. It would make your head spin. So those are the two top things that I think could be actually done, like immediately. We could vote on it, make them, either borrow the money from somewhere within the town, or borrow on our good credit and start building those things and start each year paying it off over the next couple of years. We have it done, and we would be making money.
Okay, Steve, what revenue ideas, other revenue ideas do you have for Payson?
Well, how about we quit canceling events like the Mutter? Payson has one of the highest occupancy taxes in the state, and if we would just promote what we have here and have events and get more occupancy, more full nights with the motels, that would generate revenue. If we quit running these softball tournaments out of town and have 20 teams come to a softball tournament with 10, 12 people at every team, that's that many more people that would see what a glorious place Payson is. We need to focus on collecting bed tax at all the VRBOs. I don't know how many of those are sliding by without paying, but it needs to be tightened up. And if you're offering a bed rental concern, you need to be paying a bed tax. The other issues as far as raising revenue, we're going to find abhorrent because we don't want more tax. Our sales tax is high. It got higher when the Wayfair legal suit was settled, and now every package that comes on Amazon or Chewy.com, any of those pays the full 2.88% sales tax, and the town gets that revenue, but doesn't have to provide any services other than a road for the brown truck to get to my house. So we need to focus on maximizing the taxes and the situation that we already have in place, and collect on a bed tax, get more businesses here, get more eyes on Payson, because the more eyes that look at Payson, the more they're going to want to come here and invest.
Okay, thank you. Brett, what new revenue ideas do you have for Payson?
I think it's, you know, a lot of us have the same vision, which that is good. That's good news for all of you, because no matter which three of us are on there, you know, we all want to capitalize on getting people in our event center, on, you know, getting people up here for the 4th. I'm so glad we're having the fireworks, and thank our Lord above for all the rain, and that I feel like it can happen in a safe setting. But, you know, a big frustration for me is, I said earlier, I'm a team roper. I love rodeo. Guess what? My wife and I, we went and watched the Arizona, sorry. I had to get off the edge, you know, the back of my chair and on the edge here. But my wife and I, we went to Prescott to go watch the Arizona State High School Rodeo Finals. And guess where that used to always be? Payson. Jackpot ropings, we were starting to have a few of those a summer, because it gets really hot in the valley, and producers were loving coming up here, and it attracted all of, you know, people from the valley, all of the ropers from up here to get together and just have a great old time. Guess how many we have this summer? 0. And so I reached out to 2 of the producers and I said, hey, you know, not to, you know, no negativity. I just, you know, I get some feedback. I'm running for town council. I'm wondering, why are you not coming back? And he said, well, I'll be honest with you. Never knew what we would make at an event, because we got nickeled and dimed for every little thing. But, you know, the arena fee, the event center fee was dirt cheap. So, hey, looks promising. But then water, every panel you use, every stake you use, every, you know, every little thing. And then by the end, it was at a loss. And so I think a big thing is to come up with a plan and say, hey, what covers our expense? How do we get people to want to book here and come here, and make our money off them coming and staying the night, coming in and spending their money, and those other things. And so that's a huge frustration. And I think if we need to sit down and reassess, you know, the fee structure of our softball fields, of our event center, make the necessary improvements. One of the big things with the rodeo leaving, and going to the oldest rodeo instead of the oldest continuous was, you know, our facility, our bathrooms. You know, we got porta-johns. We got porta-johns half the time over at Rumsey Park. I remember watching my kids' soccer games and the kids changing in porta-johns because the bathrooms are locked up. And so I think we need to focus on the things that we have, improving on them, and maintaining you know, stuff so that people want to come here, spend money here.
Okay, thank you. Susie, what new revenue ideas do you have for Payson, and how would it be implemented?
Okay. Well, first and foremost, not running off the current businesses that we have here. And secondly, supporting the ones that want to come here. And I mean, rolling out the red carpet and having a concierge type attitude toward those new businesses. That, you know, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work for you here, but let's walk you through the process. Let's make it work for you. All right, we want successful businesses here. Folks, we are in uncertain times right now. We've got interest rates, we've got gas prices, we've got crazy people in this world that have nothing to do with our finances. but we don't know what's going to happen day to day. And we have in the 23 budget, we have allocated funds to go towards some infrastructure at the event center, okay? And one of my suggestions that I brought to our town manager, and I spoke to Tom about, I think I've even spoke to maybe Jim about prior, was getting marquee sponsors for our event center. If we can get that event center covered, which was supposed to be done, I mean, how many councils have you heard say, we're going to cover the event center, we promise, just like we promised to take care of Main Street? Hasn't happened yet. Main Street's 260 and 87. That is our Main Street. We have got to start taking care of what we have, the people we have here, and doing the right thing to attract good businesses that are going to have a good tax base coming in. And it's kind of it's a hard thing to do. I think our staff has had a mentality, and not because it's something that they do, it's what they've been, it's the process and what they've been taught to do, is that, you started this business, but when it comes down to your C of O, oh, we forgot to tell you, you got to pave the end of that street there. Okay, well, that's 20 grand out of my budget. How's that supposed to happen? And then they're delayed. How many businesses have you all heard that said they were coming to town, but it was too difficult for them to come here? Okay? We made it too difficult. We made it too difficult. So getting new businesses, getting a marquee sponsor, by the way, and supporting our oldest continuous rodeo. Do you want to see that go to Prescott or somewhere else? Because that is also on the verge of leaving if we do not support it, and that means the town as a whole. There has been, I don't know if you all, how many of you are members of the rodeo committee? But I don't know if you've heard this, Mr. Brett, Dr. Flaherty, but this is a serious issue that's going on because of the cost that they are being charged to run the rodeo. If
Okay,
we
thank
lose
you.
that, we lose millions of dollars.
Time's up. Thank you so much. Jim, what new revenue ideas do you have for the town of Payson?
What I've heard some really good ideas with the event center. I know I've been saying since I've been on the council that we need another bank of lights. I don't know if you've been up there, but it's just kind of a dark. It needs to be brightened up, and we need speakers that are spread around the arena. If you're sitting over by the booth, the announcer's booth, you just get blasted. If you're across the way, especially me with hearing aid, you don't really hear too much of what's going on. But there are some capital improvements that are approved for this next budget to go in and address some of those things. There was a lot of good ideas that you've already heard regarding this. But the other thing was, I remember when Forrest Gressley, he wanted on that one butte back behind Gila County, the concrete back there, to shave that down and be able to put a road up there and create some commercial property up there. I thought that was a really good idea, especially when he was willing to work with the town just as you're going up that road, McLean Road. Our sewer ends up there. There's a place where it ends, and then to go on up to the event center, it'd have to go down and back up. And he was talking about being willing to pull a lot of that down and fill that area in so we could get a straight shot with our sanitary line up to that. And that, to get regular restrooms up there and get water, I think it would be great. But I mean, it seems like we just don't take the opportunities sometimes that are in front of us. I mean, even allowing him to do that too would have brought a lot more granite into the market, local granite. When we run out, and the other the granite, gravel pits. Gravel pits are, when they run out and we have to go down the tunnel basin and get our granite to come up, it's going to cost us considerably more. So, I mean, when we have a potential to have a win-win-win situation, we should take advantage of it. The other thing is we're getting close to having almost instantaneous switchover on our high-speed internet. And that high-speed internet can encourage a lot of people to come up here and work online, and then also the stores and stuff, they'll have redundant and reliable internet to take care of their business. So there's some things that are coming into place, but we need to encourage that business activity and not put up all these hurdles to them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, folks, I want to honor your time. It's after 8 o'clock. Do we have time for one more important question, or do we want to just go ahead and have them do their final wrap-up? Final wrap-up? Okay. All right, fine, mighty fine. Steve, we'll begin with you. We'll let you give your final thoughts. Let me throw this question into it. What is your top issue to tackle if elected? And then just give us your final thoughts. 3 minutes.
My top issue, if I get elected, is the preservation of town's water resources. I want to make sure that they're preserved in conjunction with eliminating some of the fire threat that we face. Fire and water are the two main issues in Rim Country, and we have to get our ducks in a row on the water. There's lots of publications that are saying, oh, we've got an endless supply, 100-year supply of water, and that's not quite the way it is. Right now, we have adequate water. The SRP has told the town of Payson that we'll get about 3/4 of the 3,000 acre feet that we've been promised, but we're nowhere close to getting everything that we were promised, and we can deal with that. In the town budget, they finally agreed to put in $100,000 for firewising, and I look at the town owns 130 properties, and so if you divide that $100,000 by the 130, the town's looking at spending about $760 on each property for firewise, and that amounts to cleaning the brush away from the entrance. It's totally inadequate. The town isn't taking firewise seriously. Like I said earlier, at the 4th of July, there's going to be a fire department booth set up, and in an email today, they told the RIM wildfire awareness team that we really shouldn't show up because we're too political. And if we do show up, we can't wear any name badges. We have to look like we're members of the fire department, and that's just wrong. We need to focus on the things that make Payson the place that drew all of us here. I'm a transplant. I didn't grow up here, but I want to preserve it. I want to make sure that Payson is maintained as the jewel that we know it is, and that's all I've got to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Brett, your final thoughts, and what is your number one priority if elected? What is your top issue to tackle if elected?
Obviously, to come in here and support all of the important things of our safety, preserving the things that we already have, and maintaining our assets. But one of the big things for me is follow through. I want to make sure that we say we're going to do something, we do it. If we propose a splash pad or whatever it might be, that where are those things, not saying, where I stand on that, but when I look at what's proposed and where it is, I feel like there's just a lot of talk about a lot of great ideas, and that's always my biggest question is, hey, where's the follow through? I really want to see the council deliver to our community. And that's why I'm running, to be here and deliver the things that we deserve and need to thrive as a community. I hear this, hey, we want to be yes people, we want to move forward. It was just brought up, Forrest Cressley, willing to work with us. There's a lot of private people that are willing to work with us in town, but are we really gonna say yes and follow through and allow them to help us and accept their generosity? I think there's a huge private public opportunity to do amazing things in this town. I visited with the tribe today, and there's always opportunity to work with them, and I think we need that support from everybody in this community, and anybody who wants to contribute, accept that and figure out a way to incorporate it into our town and move forward. So I think for me the biggest thing is seeing things through and making our dreams and our vision come to life, and I can assure you or promise that that's what I'm going to stand for.
Very good. Thank you. Susie, your final thoughts and top priority for you.
Well, I don't just have one top priority, but what I will tell you is my priority is you all. Any type of tax increase, large connection, whether it be from a private entity or not, if it's going to be a tax increase, it goes to you, the people, not to the 7 members of the council. Anything large should go to a vote of the people, period, end paragraph. I've always felt that way. I'm not in favor of having to pay more taxes. I don't know if how much more we can afford at this point in time. On a personal note, it's really a hard thing to do. But what I'll tell you is, none of this matters. None of this matters if we have a catastrophic fire. And praise Jesus for the moisture that we have had. It feels the monsoons have come early, because when that fire happened in Prescott back in April, I don't know about you all, but it was extremely scary. I started getting my firebox ready. And this is the largest investment. My home is the largest investment that I have. For most of you, it is as well. For some of you, it's the only investment that you have. And it's not an easy thing to say is what is your biggest priority, because it's also our roads. I drive on those roads, and I drive a lot. And it's in bringing new people to town, it is kind of embarrassing to pull into a nice to have to try to go to a higher end subdivision, and you go pothole after pothole after pothole, and oh, look out, watch out for the person, and drive into the dirt or drive into the ditch so you don't run them over. But that's the reality of it. And so, but being a voice for you, that is our job. Our job is to listen to what the community wants and desires. And so I appreciate you all coming here tonight again, and I just really hope that you all understand the sense of urgency it is that we have participation in these meetings. And it's very, very important. And don't be afraid to get up and speak or send in your comments and your emails or write to your town council people. And so thank you again for attending.
Okay, thank you. Jim, your
Yes.
top priority and your final closing thoughts.
Well, there's multiple things I believe we can walk and chew gum at the same time, but the fire-wise is a big one. And I was on the forum this morning with Greg Freestadt, who had done a lot of looking into that. That Green Valley Parkway extension, to me, would be very important. You know, we're supposed to hear back from, I don't know how many of the tribes yet about the archaeological study that was done, but we need to be pushing that, get that done. The Forest Service, you know, mentioned about, you know, when anything or something could be done with that there, we could clear out a wide path there of all the brush and the trees and create a substantial fire break. If there's going to be a fire come into this town and the wind's blowing and blowing embers, it's going to be that direction. It's going to be there. So if we can get that done, that would be great. And then start looking at what grants we could have to extend that for a fire exit if we do have a catastrophic fire coming into town. That escape route is very important. And I still kind of request from the town, our police department, fire department, I want you all to have something that you can put on your refrigerator that says if there's a catastrophic fire, you get a warning, you're going to take this street to either 87 or 260, you know, and just have some kind of specific place to go. Or if you have to hold up because the road's just jammed, we got fire equipment coming in, and where are you going to stage? Maybe Home Depot, maybe Green Valley Park, maybe over at the Payson Christian School. But we need to have this information. To me, it would lower the panic level a great deal. People just had the first step or two that they could take if they are notified. I do think that the broadband, having that broadband is very important for future development and revenue generation here. But, you know, and going back to the event center, I know so many times you hear government say, well, we need to invest in our government here. And what it is, it's just a money sinkhole. But at least the event center, what we do there could really drive and generate a revenue that would more than pay for the cost of the improvements to it. So I really do think that would be very important to look into. And the other thing is though, too, I want vote for people that you know are loyal to the citizens. No special interests, no other groups, but are going to represent your interests first. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Tina, final one. What is your top priority if elected, and your final closing thoughts?
As several others do, I have several priorities and top issues. Obviously, it almost goes without saying, firewising is key. I mean, a catastrophic fire, you know, if that happens, none of the rest of it even matter. Anything else I talk about, roads, you know, pools, etc., none of that matters. So firewising is key. Beyond that, economic development definitely has a special place in my heart, and I think most of us really want Payson to grow, and I'm not talking huge growth. I'm not talking Prescott. We love Payson, and we love it for a reason, but we want it to be a healthy, thriving community, and so that means working towards economic development. However, it is a bit of a chicken or egg kind of situation. How do we develop things and thrive when we don't have workforce housing? So housing is tops in my mind for, we've got to tackle these issues. We've got to make places to live for people that are affordable, and we need rentals that are not Airbnbs, but rentals that people can afford and stay in and not worry about being kicked out of because somebody wants to sell and make, some extra money type of thing. So that is definitely in the forefront of my mind. And then in the immediate sense, one of the first things, if elected as your council member, I want to tackle the pool issue. I'm crazy. I don't want just one pool. I want two. I want to build one immediately right over where Taylor Pool is. We borrow against the town's credit. This doesn't take any money out of your or my pocket. And we start paying it back over the next 10 to 12 years. It's absolutely doable. We have the infrastructure right there at Taylor Pool. We can use it longer if we eventually cover it. You do things and you plan it out. You put in the footings so that you can cover it later when you have the money. You don't have to do everything right away, but can you build a pool? Can you heat it with solar? Heck yeah, you can. And then we also start tackling that aspect of, okay, community center, aquatic center, wouldn't we all love that? All right, what's stopping us? Let's go out to everyone and ask, are you interested in a bond? We've been talking about this issue for years. We've discussed YMCA and other, potential things. And are we willing to put, our money where our mouth is? Do we want a community center bad enough? And if we do, then hey, what's stopping us from trying for a bond? But I want to tackle the Taylor Pool situation immediately. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Candidates, these folks have been going hard for 2 hours, longer than a church service. So I think they deserve a hand. I think they deserve a hand. I really do. You folks have been awesome. You've been wonderful. Just real quickly, there's some special events coming up on Friday, July 15th, right here in this room. Secretary of State candidate Mark Fincham will be here. And then on Tuesday, July 26th, right here in this room, Governor candidate Carrie Lake will be here to share. So a couple of events that are coming up. You are welcome to come to these. They are meals, they are dinners. There is a cost. If you have more information, or if you need more information, then feel free to see us. Are there any other candidates that are here for either mayor or for what is it? The county supervisor, other kinds of things. Stand up. We want to make sure that we acknowledge you folks that are here as well. Very, very good. God bless you all, and God bless America. Amen. Take care. You've been great. Have a great evening. Feel free to hang out for a while. Ask more questions personally if you like. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.